Khan said that the new religion of the future won't be a religion, it will be a music. That means that all scriptures and stuff will go into the spheres and it would be a music. Because basically, they say heaven is within, so obviously music has to play a vital part in that. You understand what I'm saying? I talked about how in the Book of Thoth, Alex Carter's Book of Thoth, they mention it once, we don't hear it that much until Richard King talks about it, the Barahadna chakra, which is a chakra of inner ear melanin. The Barahadna chakra. And it talks about that, and it says that the Horus lock, which is the god Horus. Y'all all right? Yeah. The Horus lock is not that. It said that the Horus lock that you see here, when you get the word warlock later on, this is the baby Jesus or the baby Horus. Take your pick. Because guess what? I know the conscious people don't want to hear this, but guess what? The people in the church worshiping Jesus, they right on track. It's still Horus wherever you put it. So it doesn't matter based on the name. You see what I'm saying? And that's the only level that they can go to. Otherwise they would be in here, but in so many words, they still get it. When you look on a bigger picture, the spirit world say everything is as it's supposed to be. That's right. So, in our honesty, through the Jesus story, they are in on the Horus story. It's not a tragedy. It's just the version of what would come from slaves and what was given to them, but the white boy didn't give them some stuff that gave them the same stories. So the baby Jesus or the baby Horus, either way you got to become this. And I'm going into this in a few minutes. But just the Horus lock is, they said it is not indicating the lock of hair, it's indicating what's inside of the ear, called the Barahadna chakra, and Richard King called it the inner ear nucleus. It's the doorway to the temple. And it's all based on your music. That's the key. The religion is the music. Whatever floats your boat. You know what I'm saying? Me, I got all kinds. I get albums because I got turntables and stuff. I get albums for $1.50. And because they're so cheap, I got me some damn Johnny Cash. I said, why do I like this shit? Come to find out Johnny Cash got all his shit from black people. That's right. That Ring of Fire, that's some good shit. And it's mythology. There's one song where they say, it's in the West, and the mama telling this boy, don't take your guns to town. Leave your guns at home. And he takes the gun to town and get his ass killed. That's mythology. You see what I'm saying? You're going to find out that the origins of country music, and the PBS did a special late one night, that country music came out of a group of hillbilly black bands that died out by the 1930s because the music industry said, well, we'll choose the blues to record in the Smithsonian. We won't record the black hillbilly music. And that's what trained the white folks. The hillbilly music from black people and the church. Country music is niggerized. It's ours. And they got a guy, let you know they do ritual. They got a little short guy, I can't think his name, on the Grand Ole Opry. He used to come out with a harmonica, and he would open up the Grand Ole Opry every time they did a thing. He would come out and open up for him. He was like the Tahuti or the Anubis or the Ganesha. He was the opener of the way. It was a ritual. But the black hillbilly music didn't get recorded. They said, we'll do the blues, and the white folks took that. So Johnny Cash, I said, why am I buying this shit? Because it ain't nothing but blues. You see what I'm saying? So, I'm just saying, I have multiple things from Duke Ellington. You see what I'm saying? The Cameo. I got it all. You see, but my point here is the music, and guess what? You get old when you start listening to music. What happens? You listen to music when you're young, and you get old, you start listening to it. And when you stop listening to it, that's when you die. The music is the key. That's the Orpheus. And here's the harvest, and they say it's in the ear. And they won't put this stuff in books. Crowley mentions it once in his book of Thoth. He mentions it once in the section called the Fool. The Fool is the first in the Tarot deck. It's the Egyptian Tarot, the book of Thoth, the Egyptian Tarot. He mentions it because the Tarot system came to Europe by the Moors. They brought the Tarot, and the playing cards came out of the Tarot. You see what I'm saying? Because you know they got divination where you can divine from playing cards. Call it destiny card books. You see what I'm saying? All that stuff was science of the Moors. They got it out of the Library of Alexandria. You see what I'm saying? Now, so, they talk about their Barahadna chakra and also the inner ear melon. Now, that's just like me. I knew it. I knew I was going to kick it over. It was the only one with the ice in it, too. But anyway, going back, the music is one of the keys. It's one of the keys. You see. Now, moving right along. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Shoot. Y'all all right?
Cool.
All right. I'm going to get a movie called The Iron Giant. The Iron Giant. It's a cartoon that came out in '99. The Iron Giant. And the Iron Giant is about a giant that came from another planet with superhuman powers, but he got hit in the head and didn't know who he was. Does this story sound familiar to you? Very humble, very nice, that's a boss. But when he found out who he was, he had a defense system that was so advanced until it was more advanced than the technology on the earth that the powers that be had. That's where we're going to go tonight. But it's simple, but sublime. Okay? Whatever it is, it's, well, I'm going to go ahead of myself. It's called an Iron Giant. And he found it, and when he comes down to earth, he can only hang out with a child and a beatnik. That's a white boy that was in the jazz that understood the black thing. The only two he can hang out with. It was done in the 1950s. Well, it took place in the 1950s, this robot. It's called an Iron Giant, and it's another story about you, and it's saying that you have a defense system inside of you that if it comes online, it's more powerful than anything that the powers that be has. Because it can make those things stop operating. And it's inside of us and inside of the DNA. Because the first thing when this defense system comes on this black man in the movie, which is a giant, two serpents come out the top of his head. Two electronic serpents, because it's supposed to be this robot. That's the Kundalini energy, and that's down by the way though, 808. You see what I'm saying? That's the DNA. That's the DNA spiral. Now, it's getting interesting. Just know that in the Milky Way galaxy a month ago, the Hubble telescope or whatever picked up a star cluster in the Milky Way galaxy that was a perfect double helix spiral DNA lined up in the stars.
I saw that. I saw
Yeah.
a picture of that.
I got an element piece on it. As above, so below. It's all happening. Just remember that. They picked it up. They say they're going to find 12 more, but they're not going to tell anybody about them. Just follow me for a minute. Just a minute. As we go into certain things. In order, what you need to do to strengthen the DNA and the cells in your body is you need to get some. You can do it two ways. You notice all these ancient movies, I figured they didn't have but one thing to eat. You always see these people on these epics that used to come out, Ben-Hur, the Jesus epics, always the king of some part of Rome or Greece. Every now and then they might show a white pharaoh or whatever. But I'm like, they don't eat but one thing, grapes. You ever seen they sitting around all they do is plucking grapes? I'm like, damn, did they have any food in the ancient world? All I ever see is grapes. Come to find out, not only the wine, that what strengthens and regenerates the cells. Let me give you the story. They got a group of black people in Detroit. All of them is 50 plus, 50s, early 60s, 60s and 50s. And they done hooked up on some stuff and got some conscious people and start drinking grape juice, and it started regenerating their cells, and they were getting younger each day. The woman said, you used to see some of these people, they going back to damn 30s. But there's a key. The key here is that the grape juice we have has sugar in it, high fructose corn syrup. Mm-hmm. And the grape juice